Hi everybody, it's Nicholas Felix from Lave Radio. My next track is called Awakened. It's a robot versus alien track. Then if you like it, please visit www.nicholasfelix.com. Enjoy the show.
Broadcast from an orange sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician, it's Lave Radio.
Attention. Would you like to reorder greater rate? Would you like pizza?
Space can be loaded.
What now?
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 312 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Leet and the fantastic fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix to Fire, Head of Archives at Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our Deputy Trade Attaché, Commander Souverain.
What up?
We have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
We welcome back our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Edelweiss, that's Ben Ross Woodward.
So, Colin, have you crossed your fingers?
I'm crossing everything at the moment.
Have you tied your dick in a knot?
What?
What?
Have you slung it over your shoulder like a regimental soldier?
Okay.
Do you ball hang low?
Okay. so much for welcoming him back, and we'll also welcome Commander Ventura, who's doing the tech for us tonight. So if you wish,
we started off with quality, didn't we? Right off the bat, we were just up there. Obsidian Ant's got nothing on the quality of this show, I tell you.
yeah, it is. It's constantly feeling like we're outclassed by the Red Dwarf crew, to be honest. Anyway, if you wish, you can join us live. We, I think, are we hanging out in game?
Where are you hanging out, Colin?
Ben, are you in open? Oh no. Oh, dear.
I will be. I'm just getting things working at my end with things being.
Listen, we don't want to know what's working at your end, to be honest. Right.
I'm just getting things turned on now.
It is age, Colin.
Oh God, help. Anyway, if you can't get to us in-game, you can also join our Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio. We're also available on YouTube and on Facebook. Fingers crossed. So, quickly, we'll go around the crew. And I'm dreading this, to be honest, considering the way the show started already. Ben, what have you been up to this week?
Right. In the interest of keeping it quick, I've been doing CGs. I finished Star Wars Squadrons, and Souverain and I played some Among Us with his very drunken friends. And that was hilarious. Oh, and we also played Hide and Seek in Among Us 2. That was also hilarious.
Not behind the bike sheds.
No. And we weren't playing Hide the Sausage either.
So for all those of you who are playing the Lave Radio drinking game, where every time Ben says something dirty, I'm afraid you'll be half cut by now, won't you? So, Souverain, apart from getting murdered by an imposter, what else have you been up to?
What have I been up to? As usual, I have absolutely no idea. I'll quickly check the calendar. On Thursday last week, on Wednesday, my dad came to London and I went for lunch with him, which was quite nice. On Thursday, I went to see Akira at the cinema. One of the Cineworld on Leicester Square was showing Akira on the IMAX. So me and one of my schoolmates and another friend went to watch that, and I've seen it once before. She and I watched it when she was at uni, and we watched it on a little laptop in her dorm. And we, at the time, were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool, anime." And then we watched it again last week, and we both of us were struck by what an absolute flipping masterpiece it is. If you haven't seen Akira, go and watch it. Honestly, like, it's one of the best animes ever made, and it's just fantastic film, totally fantastic. Sound design is incredible.
Is that the one which they upgraded specifically for the IMAX? Because I remember seeing that I know that they're doing a 4K version of it for whatever media the 4K comes out in these days. It's not Blu-ray. It's whatever 4K is.
I've no idea. I think they're doing a live action one. I don't know whether it's been remastered or not. I think it's quite early 80s, or maybe mid 80s.
Mid 80s to late 80s, yeah.
Okay, fine. But yeah, very, very good. And then on Friday, I played D&D with some friends, and it's my first time playing it. I think we're on session 3. 3 for me. I think they've been doing it a bit longer. and I'm quite enjoying it actually. The combat is incredibly boring and tedious, but all the role playing and larking about is quite fun.
That's interesting. Then what is it? 5th edition, and what class are you playing?
I am in that one. I am a moon druid. I am a furbolg called Herb, and I've discovered that furbolg or something like that.
I said furball.
Maybe that too. I don't know.
Put a fox mask
Well,
on or something like that.
Topically, that's exactly what he does. His whole shtick is turning into animals because he's a druid. And I discovered that turning into a bear is a pretty effective solution for most problems in Dungeons and Dragons. And I mentioned this to another friend who does the GMing all the time. I was like, I'm trying D&D for the first time, and he said, well, how are you finding it? And I'm like, well, I'm a druid, so being a bear is quite effective generally for most things. And he was like, fucking bloody druids and bears. And apparently the class I've chosen, the specific subclass, is the most broken thing in D&D. So I've accidentally chosen the one thing which is like a massive exploit in that game. Which is really fun.
I'm sorry. What did you say it was called again? A fur?
The race is a furbolg. I think that's what it is.
That sounds like some kind of epileptic Wookiee.
Funnily enough, apparently they look like that. They're about 10 feet tall, and they're sort of like the forest-dwelling gentle giant type things. I didn't realise what it was when I picked it.
So it's basically Bigfoot.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But possibly green rather than brown. I don't really know. But that was Friday, and then on Saturday, Ben came and joined us for our my friends and I were playing Among Us, which is completely hilarious. Ben, do you mind if I tell the anecdote about your you accidentally dropping into that?
When I was playing with my son and then dropped into another game.
Yes.
You are welcome to tell it. I might interject.
So I was playing Among Us with some friends for the first time.
Don't get me on any watch lists, please.
And, Ben, that horse has bolted, mate. We were playing Among Us, and Ben sent me a message saying, "Have you got room for one more?" And I said, "Yeah, definitely. In you come." And he dropped in, and he was like, "Oh, hey guys, you'll never guess what's just happened. I've accidentally. Oh, it's been really embarrassing." And we're like, "What's gone wrong?" And he's like, "Oh, I've just accidentally found myself match made. I've accidentally gate crashed an 11-year-old girl's birthday party in Among Us with the username
slumber party
with the slumber party with the username Daddy." He'd been playing Among Us with his kids, and he'd called himself Daddy, and then he'd gone surfing for games afterwards, and just got match made with all these 11-year-old girls. And he was just like, hey everybody, can I come and play? And I'm like, who the fuck is this random man called Daddy? Oh, it was funny. It was very amusing.
So do we know what Ben Saville has been up to the rest of the week?
Playing more Among Us.
Not going near any schools.
Actually, I've got. Oh shit! I shouldn't say this. There's a school just on the top of my road.
Mate, don't leave the house. Your ankle will start beeping.
Well, I must admit, this episode has gone dark very, very quickly.
And then what else have I been doing? I haven't played Elite at all this week. I've been. I really want to. It's not through lack of will. I really, really want to get involved in the storyline and the Marlonists and everything. But I've been very busy. I've been editing like a madman. It's a very busy time of the month, work-wise. And in the evenings, Dr. Kai and I have been playing a lot of Far Cry 5. So we've been scampering about, murdering low-income Americans with guns, which is surprisingly good fun, actually. And that brings us up to today. So yeah, not a huge amount of video game stuff, but very busy nonetheless.
So I guess it's my turn.
We don't have a Colin. We're sans Colin.
Okay,
right.
Well, yeah. So I don't really know how to follow that because part of, in my head when you're talking the story about Ben, I had the the lyrics tie the kangaroo down, Ben, just for the Rolf Harris link, and then there was And then there was your exploit, Sue, and it's like, just what is going on? So my week has actually been quite mundane, really, compared to your lot of weirdness. I too haven't played any Elite this week because I've been far too busy in real life with all sorts of real life family stuff going on. Not bad family stuff, just kind of life stuff, really. Game wise, I haven't really had a lot of time to play any games at all this week, so I'm going to be completely boring, and so I haven't played any games. I did, however, finish off ceramic coating the car, and that took me Saturday and Sunday, so it took me 20 hours to finish that off. But,
What exactly is ceramic coating a car?
well, you know how people put waxes on a car to make it shiny and the water run off and basically protect the paint?
Yeah.
A ceramic coat is what it says. It's transparent. It's a transparent coating that hardens and forms a shell over the car, such that it protects the paint and the look of the car for up to 7 years.
Interesting.
So it's water will just completely run off it, and it's bird poo resistant, and nothing else like that. So it's like a super wax. You don't ever need to wash off. But
Nice.
the secret to it is you have to really prepare the car. So you have to really wash it clean, go over it with a fine tooth comb, get a machine polisher to polish all the scratches out. You know, the micro scratches, the little hazing you can see, and then there's a calculator you have to use for the temperature and the weather that tells you how long you have to leave each part of the coating on before you rub it off. Because if you leave it on too long, it dries and it leaves like a cloudy, hazy mark, which you can't ever get out other than by sanding it out.
Ooh.
So you have to do like a 1 foot by 2 foot square each time. In my case, it was 40 seconds. I had 40 seconds to let it cure, and then it was a race to rub it off within the time allowed. So it's really meticulous and really specific.
That sounds very high octane. I actually stressful. What I mean is that sounds very stressful. Like, it sounds like there's a high penalty for failure with that.
Oh, well, you have to machine sand it off again and reapply it, but it's taking me about 3 months to learn how to do it.
Yeah, that's a lot of wax on, wax off, isn't it?
Well, it's just well, the thing is, it's wax on and not worry about it for 7 years. So, you know, I think nothing results are worse. I mean, you can go completely crazy and look for perfection, but you end up wearing the clear coat down on your car, and then you sand the paint off. So basically, you have to reach a point where you think, well, that's as good as I'm going to get it within the limitations of my skill.
Well, I will say one thing, Shan. I think if anyone tries to punch you in the next couple of weeks, I'm quite sure that the muscle memory will block any incoming punch.
Well, as long as it's up and down and side to side within 40 seconds, it'll be all right.
You must look like a hermit crab.
Oh, I tell you, it was real keep fit stuff. There were squats, there were weights, and everything else involved. It was knackering.
Well, we'll have to send Elon Musk our regards for actually getting Shan fit.
But actually, you say that next week. Do you remember about the time last year I started this boot camp thing, this regular sort of exercise hardcore thing?
Yeah.
Well, that starts for us next Monday. It starts, so it's going to start all over again. So I'm quite looking forward to it, to be honest, because it's a good feeling to know you're getting fitter and feel positive with all the endorphins and stuff it brings up. So yeah,
Cool. Very cool. Right. Well, let's have a quick look at what I've been up to. Not as much elite as normal. I'm now up to 85% deadly, so only 15% to go. Yay. And let's see, Star Wars Squadrons. Obviously, I've been playing a bit of that now that the flight stick bug has been fixed. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm afraid I've had to do a lot more overtime at work than I was expecting to this week. But never mind. Moving on from there. We're going to quickly talk about the development news that's happened this week. Well, there's been two major things that have turned up. Monday's stream. Well, first of all, they are wanting to move the Super Cruise news section, which normally happens between 12 and 1 on a Monday. They want to move that to Tuesday to approximately 2 till 3. This is to give them more time and a less stressful Monday morning. I don't know about the 2 till 3 thing. Anybody else think that's a little too late?
I think so, personally.
Yeah, because
It might be better for Eastern US time, though.
Well, I wasn't thinking about that because I don't know about you, and this is a bit naughty to admit, but when Ed did his journey home thing at midday on a Monday and his biscuit reviews, I would deliberately schedule meetings stuff around, so I wouldn't actually have to go to a meeting or on a conference call at midday, just so I could make that call. And also, it's around lunchtime, so I can say, "I'm at lunch. I'll give you a call after lunch," which was true. So around the lunchtime,
yeah,
was ideal because you could kind of fit it around your day. 2 till 3, that's right in the productivity area, as in I really should be doing some work
yes.
after lunchtime.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. 12 till 1, I could actually do that during my lunch hour, take an early lunch. But I think from now on, that's even outside my flexi time, actually. So I can't even. Yes, I can't even put it that way. So, right. Well, Arth has hinted at a Halloween event in the next couple of weeks. He says, keep your eyes open for all the places to look for hints. Does this mean that we're going to find a community goal to transport pumpkins?
I mean, keep an eye on all the places. If I was a community manager and I said that, I'd probably be referring to social media channels.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any Halloween-themed named systems or anything like that. Like for instance, pumpkin or
I suspect
the
it'll
skeleton
be
system or something like that.
I suspect it'll be pumpkin-themed paint jobs. And when he says keep an eye on the usual places, he means keep an eye on our Twitter account, blah blah blah, to see the special pumpkin paint jobs or whatever. That would be my bet.
One of the good things that we discovered is that Bruce knows about Blake 7. Which I think is quite odd for someone so young. I thought
There's knowing about it. There's knowing about it, and there's knowing about it. So, does he remember Blake 7 as in, oh, it's dodgy sets and whatever, or does he look at it for the groundbreaking sci-fi series it actually was?
There's an interesting thought, isn't it? Right. Apart from Blake 7, now there's obviously been an issue with the BGS, which meant there was no tick between Saturday and Monday so far. Has this been fixed?
I think it has been fixed. I saw somewhere that all the changes would be implemented with the next tick. I think I might have seen a tweet or something like that. But citation needed.
Ah, right. So, well, good news there then. I do know that a lot of people were complaining about that missing tick, but they were already. Arth did say, yeah, we know about it. We're trying to resolve it. Just bear with us. And yeah, so fingers crossed that that's in. It's quite ironic because my internet connection at the moment is so bad. I can't present Lave Radio and have Elite Dangerous running in the background at the same time. So I can't even go in and check. In other news, we have the Frontier annual report, which is Frontier's report card to their investors for the last year. Now, we do have a couple of positives in this, especially with Elite Dangerous. But quickly, the total revenue for 2020 was 76 million. And they know that they've made a profit of about 16 million, which was quite good. Cash balances have increased by 10.4 million to 45.8 million. Now that is one heck of a cash reserve. But this is the important thing. Elite Dangerous continues to grow with the success of the recent Fleet Carriers update and helping to achieve its highest ever player numbers. Elite Dangerous Odyssey is our new paid for expansion, which is due to launch in Q1 2021. So that means that they haven't actually moved it back, which is a good sign. But then when we actually go through some of their future plans, it seems that thanks to Elite Dangerous's Odyssey, they have plans for Elite Dangerous up to and it looks like beyond 2024, which actually takes it to 11 years old.
And that also fits in with the 10-year plan that was touted back a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a 10-year plan that they said they've got plans for it for the next 10 years. And we also know for a fact that Horizons took a lot longer than it was supposed to. Because I think they had part of that 10-year plan was Horizon would be 1 year. And then there'd be a pack every year or something like that. But that didn't seem to go to plan. However, go on.
No, I was going to jump on to other parts of the.
Oh no, go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah, as I said, it says 2024 and beyond. Now, of course, what that doesn't necessarily mean is that there will be updates in 2024 in terms of content updates. It could just mean we will support the game until 2024, and then after that, whoever. So it was kind of like a graph saying, "Don't worry, Elite's not going anywhere for the next 4 years."
I don't even think it's that. I think the purpose of the graph, it's a financial statement, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what that's saying is the bars on that graph are revenue streams. All the people, I've seen quite a few people say like, "Oh, look, it means that Odyssey is going to last for 2 years or whatever." All that means is that they expect Elite Dangerous via Odyssey to generate revenue until at least the end of 2024. Yeah. That's all they mean. It doesn't mean that they're going to. It doesn't mean that they're going to release new content. It doesn't mean interstellar initiatives. It doesn't mean new features. It doesn't even necessarily mean new paint jobs. It just means that they expect to sell more units until at least the end of 2020.
Exactly, Steve. I mean, so for Elite, that was kind of the interesting bits for me. But there's another few IP they have in there that's interested me. The first of all was this Formula One management game. Yeah. Which will be interesting to see. I mean, if it's modelled after this year and last year, the game will be see who can come second to Lewis Hamilton. But anyway, that was of interest. And Colin, you picked something out about security, didn't you? Cybersecurity, which I thought was quite worthwhile maybe having a quick chat about.
Oh, is this? I think it was Ben who actually brought it up, but they said something about despite having a security problem this year.
Yes, and also it can come in many forms.
Yeah.
So when you first brought this up, my first thought was the leak that happened earlier in the year. Because I can't. I mean, yes. Why would they talk about a cybersecurity incident if we and the investors didn't know about it?
Yeah, rule number 1 is you don't talk about cybersecurity things, do you?
Unless it's already out.
Yeah,
and then the statement there is what they're doing about it. So yeah, the only thing I can think of was what was the leak.
Yeah, it's actually now 18 months ago this leak, and at the time, because we didn't have any real content to talk about, I mean, it has been difficult to not focus on what was in there, and it turns out that part of that leak was either wrong or they dropped the functionality from it.
Yes, I mean the other interesting thing is David Braben had a £20,000 a year pay rise since about 2 years ago. I mean, yes, he had a big bonus in this, but him and the other directors had a pay rise, which is fair dues because I think they've done sterling work in really bringing Frontier development on in the last few years. I mean, when Elite was first launched, they were effectively a single product company. I mean, yes, they did games previously, but
yeah, they were licensed. You're a development studio for basically another big publisher. So yeah, you don't have the control, do you?
They've changed incredibly since I think Elite Dangerous has been a transformative title for them because their pre-Elite and post-Elite trajectory is breathtaking, really. They're orders of magnitude larger, much more profitable. They've gone from making games for other people to being a publisher. It's just the transition has been enormous.
Yeah, I mean, when you actually look at their actual accounts from just the summary view that they've put out, we know the company is stable. They're doing quite well, and anytime a company that runs an online game like Elite is stable and doing well, is normally a sigh of relief for the game that is running, because there's so many times that I've jumped onto an MMO, but because the company underneath didn't do its job properly, the game got closed and the company got closed. So bye Matrix Online, bye Black Prophecy, bye Jumpgate. So
I mean, to look at the figures in their rewarding place to work, which is on page 34 of the sheet. I mean, last year they had 120 new joiners. So, and they've increased their headcount by 55% over the last 3 years, and that's a real credit to the work the company's been doing, really. Because we've seen a number of games companies under pressure and cancelling projects and things like that. So to go for that in the last financial year, actually under 20 people, is really good news, I think.
Yeah. It does seem that our Ben has had a bit of a crash. We're hoping that he'll make it back at some point.
If you hear sirens, we were joking about the daddy there. Honestly, police, we were joking.
Oh, you mean that basically during on air, someone has smashed his door down with the universal key, and he's been hauled off. He's been hauled off by the non-squad.
I couldn't possibly comment, but it's a possible reason.
Come back, Ben. Make sure that we're all right.
So yeah, it was generally a positive report.
Yes.
I thought it was anyway. And it also seemed to be more detailed than the one last year, because I seem to remember the one last year wasn't quite as detailed as this. Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but this went into a lot more detail, I think, than last year's.
I feel like this was pretty similar to last year's, really.
I have to go back and look, but
tonally, it was similar. Decent. Frontier is a bit of a stock market darling, really, and this is, sort of steady, very, quite chunky growth that they can that they can attribute to what they've been doing, and sort of ambitious but not unrealistic targets for the next couple of years is kind of their métier when it comes to these statements. And this is of a type with last year's, I think.
Am I right in thinking? I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm not. But am I right in thinking that Frontier Developments is now one of the largest independent games producers in the industry, or certainly in the UK? Because other games
in the UK.
Definitely the UK, but some of them are very large. I was looking at Larian Studios the other day. They employ something like 600 people, and they are known for, really, in the last couple of years, just Divinity Original Sin 2. So, like, I feel like there are loads of...
it, though? Who publishes Divinity?
I can't remember. I think they might have self-published it, actually. Citation needed. But anyway, I feel like video games is kind of full of that. Like, there are loads of chunky medium-sized companies that have brought out a couple of games and therefore added to their head count quite a lot in the last few years.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll leave the real world and see what's actually happening in Elite Dangerous itself. Presently, there is a CG in progress where the Empire is slamming its blunt hammer to try and catch a few Marlinist terrorists with another combat community goal. And I must admit, they don't seem to be doing very well, the Empire, at the moment, do they?
I haven't been following this one.
Right. Well, basically, the Empire have decided that all Molinists are bad uns, and therefore are attacking a couple of Molinist. They're attacking the Molinist stations, and of course, I think everybody else has decided enough of that. Empire, you're a bully. Last time I checked, the Marlinists were winning by, I think, 11 billion credits earned to about almost 7 billion credits for the Empire. And there's only 2 days left, so
Wow.
1.5 by the time you get to this.
That's interesting because it's it'll be one of the first Empire insurgent groups that have actually been player supported. Emperor's Dawn and the other one whose name I always forget, that happened a couple of years ago.
They got trounced.
Absolutely curb stomped. Yeah, so this is quite interesting, I think.
Yeah. And in other Galnet news, Liz Ryder has now been exonerated by the Empire. She has managed to pass information to them saying, listen, I'd had nothing to do with it. It was a contract. There was no Thargoid weaponry in what I delivered to this contract. And it turns out this was a dummy organization that bought these missiles or bought these bombs. So the Empire have said, okay, we believe you, even though we tried to capture you and massacre you. And yes, they've... So Liz Ryder's back in the Empire's good books. Well, if
that's like a Star Trek episode, isn't it? Where, I don't know,
big reset
crew
button,
member, a crew member gets taken over by an alien entity, murders like half the crew, and then next episode, it wasn't you really, it's the alien entity. Why don't you come back to work in security or something like that again? You know.
Oh, Doctor Who took the mickey out of that. Because, well, you know that they've got the big red. They got one of their tricks is just to reset it how it was anyway. But in one episode where the TARDIS was destroyed, the last second they gave they did a time hole past the big red reset button to the previous the Doctor at the beginning of the episode who just pressed it, and that's it. As if the entire episode never happened. That's the kind of thing it feels like. There are some complaints on the forums that, let's just say that the rewards seem to be stacked in certain ways so that certain results are expected out of these CGs, to be honest. I mean, Shan, do you get that impression?
It's hard to know whether they are... Yeah, I guess so. So I was thinking it through.
I'm going to completely agree with what Shan is thinking, I think.
What was I thinking then?
I think you were about to say something like, don't attribute to deliberate action what can be ably explained by incompetence, or something like less cruel, which mirrors my thinking, which is, I don't think that actually the mouse is being herded towards a particular exit from the maze. I think actually that Frontier have a limited capacity to think through how appealing their rewards will be, and actually, I think that what's happening is Frontier are designing CGs. They don't actually have a particularly good grasp of which is going to be the most popular outcome, or even possibly care that much because they've already planned multiple endings, and players are deciding for themselves what's the most appealing option out of the possible rewards. Is my take on it.
So,
Is that what you meaning, Sam?
Just let me go back and check because we're getting shouted at by people in the chat room at the moment. Current progress. Oh, this is interesting. They've only got to reward level 2 as the Marlinists, even though they've earned almost 13 billion credits. However, this is stats from the forum at the moment, so it could be slightly out of date. Yet the Empire itself is already on reward tier 3, yet it's only earned 8 billion credits. So does it go on the highest reward tier, or does it go on the most credits earned?
Maybe Imperial credits are just worth more, like the pound to the dollar or something like that. It's going to...
No, credits are credits, or the bank of Xeons, isn't it?
Well, I'm not so sure, slightly tongue-in-cheek, because we learned last week that there'll be a different currency for Odyssey upgrades. So maybe the Imperial credits are like the Triganic Pew, is what we talked about last week.
I have a correction for that. Kai Zen, who's become my source of correct information these days, has assured... Well, Lave Radio certainly is not. Has assured me that actually there is not going to be another currency to buy the base suits and things. The suits are going to be buyable with regular credits. It's the upgrades that will be that need a new currency, and the new currency is not like new. Is not like a new credit alternative. The new currency is like basically just new engineering materials. So TLDR, you'll be able to buy, according to Kaizen, you'll be able to buy. I don't know where he knows this from. You'll be able to buy the base suits with credits, probably nominal amounts, but it will be the upgrades that need new gubbins, and the new gubbins is not a new currency. It's just new engineering materials.
Well, effectively it is, isn't it? Because each engineering material, you could argue, is a currency in its own right.
Yeah,
but you can't. Well, yeah, it's only something that you can earn because you can't trade them. Well, you can trade them with the brokers, but you can't trade them with players. And you,
I don't. Yeah, it's another collectible anyway.
That to me, that's not as bad as having micro credits that you can't translate up into normal credits. I mean that.
Yeah, I agree.
Wouldn't it? Just a thought. Wouldn't it be fun if you could loot these engineering materials off other players' dead bodies?
No, it would not be fun.
Well, this is the thing, because when we don't know what the death mechanics are going to be. I mean, I have a sneaking suspicion that Shan really, really would have liked Ultima Online, where you would basically kill someone and steal all their stuff, and that person would have to start right from the very beginning.
Get good.
Right, we're going to move along. Right. Yeah, Kaizen is being a bit grumpy with me at the moment because he's apparently, I thought it went on the number of credits. It doesn't. It's going on the reward level. So that means the Empire is winning, even though they're not earning as much.
Interesting. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, neither did I, actually. Although Arth has said that he's going to look into that because it's... I mean, you would have thought if you are winning by 12 billion to 8, or 13 billion to 8, then...
You see, that sounds like Trumpian mathematics to me. I'm way behind in the opinion polls, but I'm still winning.
Oh, meow.
Ah, dear. I'm not going to go into politics because it's right.
Yeah, let's stay clear.
Yeah. We've covered that, Ben. Thank you. Right. He's not joining us, but he is listening in on Twitch while all this is happening.
So Ben is like Statler and Waldorf in the Muppets, is he? He's just like looking from above and mocking us.
Yeah, but that makes me Fozzie Bear, and I can get a joke out. Fozzie Bear can't.
Colin Fozzer Bear.
No, we've already got a Fozzer. Our Fozzer Bear is the second tech who still hasn't returned.
Or are you Gonzo? No, because Gonzo was the alternative presenter, wasn't he?
Don't make me join this.
Are you speaking inside a lead pipe, Ben? Oh, he's gone again.
He's gone again.
No, it's inside a Group 4 security van. This has been given off to Scotland Yard.
Yeah, sorry, guys. The this this unmarked van that the police have dispatched to arrest me is really echoey.
The Rozzers have got him.
Yeah. Oh dear. Ben.
Oh dear.
Oh,
No.
dear.
Lave Radio will officially say that our head of health and safety is not considered to be of any interest to the non-squad whatsoever. Seriously.
That makes it sound worse, Colin.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He thinks he does protest too much.
That's like saying nothing of interest happened here today at all.
Exactly. I think we should add a disclaimer to the show at the end, or maybe at the beginning of every show. Just so you know, Ben Moss Woodward is not a threat. He shouldn't be considered a threat.
Oh no, he's typing sus.
Ben Moss Daddy Woodward.
Oh dear.
Oh god.
Oh, but actually, Ben, I'm really sorry. This has gone a little bit too far. Right.
I'm not sorry. I think it's hilarious.
You've made me forget where we are now. Where's the show notes? Right.
We have show notes.
We have show notes. Yeah. So we're going to leave the community go for a moment. It'll be interesting to see what the next stage is going to be in this. I mean, on the other side, in the federal storyline that's happening at the moment, it turns out that yes, the technician was only following orders, and they've gone and arrested a very close friend of the president himself, a admiral, if I remember rightly. So, I mean, how do you feel that the storyline on the Federation is progressing?
I think this is really cool. This is really exciting.
Do you feel that they have been taking the time to actually sit down and plan this? Because this doesn't feel like anything that people are sort of making up as they go along.
I think they've planned it all. I think they've planned it all the way through.
It was interesting actually. Many years ago, I was speaking to Michael Brooks at LaveCon late one evening after many drinks. But anyway, he was talking about when a player found Jacques Station by looking at the map of population.
Oh yes.
Well, apparently they had a campaign basically planned around what happened to Jacques. So they're going to have like a community goals where it was almost like you had to decide whether you were for the terrorists that would make Jack misjump or whether you again. There's a whole storyline, months and months worth of content and thing worked out around finding Jacques Station. But then some smart aleck player decided to use the galactic map and find it, thus wiping out all this planning and stuff they've done. So what can he, on the face of it, seemed quite innocuous, i.e. just it misjumps. There's very probably an awful lot of storyline planning behind that if the players do a certain thing, can either trigger or goes out the window.
Yeah. Michael Brooks was telling me that they had the same thing planned with Empire Dawn. That went. And also the fact that people found the Guardian ruins just from the trailer meant that some of the things they had planned for that went out the window. So there are times when, when they people go hacking into the code to try and find out secrets and then put them out on the net. it does have a detrimental effect on future gameplay.
Well, what it does mean, though, and I'm looking slightly optimistic, is it means they can reuse some of the content and put them in here. Like, for example, whole Emperor's Dawn plot you were talking about could be possibly adapted to this one.
You're quite true. Yeah, quite true. Because, if the opportunity comes up where you have the similar set of circumstances, yeah, might as well dust off the old plot lines and put them in as long as no one's seen them before. So, yeah, got a good point there.
That actually might be why they keep rolling out insurgency groups in the Empire, because they really want to get through this Emperor's Dawn content.
I like this. Van Otter has said, in other words, ED would be great if it wasn't for those pesky players.
Exactly.
Those meddling kids. Oh, no. That was a Scooby-Doo reference and nothing to do with her. Never mind. Right.
Ben would have got away with it hadn't been for his meddling kids.
I was going to do that joke, but I stopped myself, Shan. I stopped myself so that it wouldn't go down to that level, but you had to drag us down there.
It got a laugh.
Oh, dear. Yeah, show title this week, I'm sorry.
It's actually Sovereign's fault.
It is my fault.
If he hadn't told us about Ben's pseudonym, I don't think it would have gone a particular way.
Oh, is that Ben back? It is Ben back. I don't know.
It is me back. Am I back?
You
You're
are
not yet,
back.
Ben.
Have I returned?
So did you get bail? And
Oh, I just had to services rendered and time off for good behaviour.
Yeah, sure.
so when did the advert for a replacement health and safety come out, Ben?
Oh dear. Right. Now that Ben's back, we can carry on. At last. Moving on to the Turning the Wheel initiative. The Dark Wheel are trying to replace Verve Universal Limited with their faction for the Lave system and the Old World portion of their experiment. They've been hit by a lack of tick, which obviously we discussed that earlier, but essentially they're trying to boost us while reducing the OUL's influence. Now, this is quite a tricky balancing act because I do believe us at the Lave Radio Network do not want to do too well because that would force us into an expansion. And the one thing that we always said was that, no, the Lave Radio Network is just staying in Lave. We're not going anywhere else. So we don't want to
And let's face it,
accidentally...
Colin,
Go on.
with this lockdown we're all in, some of us are expanding well enough, thank you very much.
Does that mean you're going to have to buy a new Tellytubbies suit, Ben?
So thankfully I had to buy that the other week.
Okay.
Since we're talking about the Teletubby and that we put out a community question last week saying which member of the crew looks like which Teletubby, we have to... Was it Alec Turner who sent us that wonderful image of us as Teletubbies?
It's brilliant. It's so good.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm having nightmares about that. It's just... Oh... There we are. Apparently, what's the red one? That's Ben. That's Poe. Shan's the green one. We don't have a black one, but apparently in this picture there's a black one, and that's Suv. And I'm the yellow one.
Black Teletubbies matter.
Sounds about right.
So
Actually, no. Is the black Teletubby? Is that Teletubbies the next generation? Because there were two, wasn't there? There was the original Teletubbies, and then there was they remade it with like Teletubby TNG.
No.
Yeah, there's Teletubby TNG.
Shit.
I think you're making stuff up now, Shan.
Yeah, I agree.
He's just doing this to
No,
completely
look it
wind us up.
No, look it up. They remade Teletubbies.
All right, I'm in front of a computer. Let's do this. Remake.
Man looking up stuff on computer is great podcast material. So
Have you got safe search turned on?
in the meantime, we'd just like to wish Zach Antonacci happy birthday because it was his birthday this week. And of course, Frontier.
We've got some other news actually about Zach.
Oh, go on then.
So, as people who follow us on Twitter and Facebook and places like that might know, we are actually looking for another tech monkey. And a certain Mr. Zach Antonacci did publicly apply in the Elite Dangerous community section on Facebook. So, we might be having a Don Antonacci joining us as a tech monkey.
Hey!
Oh, that would be scary.
No, that's great.
I just, it would be awesome, and I love the idea of having Zach or Arthur Bruce doing tech for us one night. I think it would be great fun.
He could patch us through to the Frontier studio.
I'm sorry, but judging by Arthur's efforts in the live stream so far, every single one he's been
They
in
live up
charge
to
of.
our expectations.
All right, so basically, because he screws up so much, he's perfect for live radio.
Precisely.
Of course. I keep on forgetting about the lack of professionalism that we have on the show.
Norman, people are asking if they can see Alec Turner's Teletubby mashup.
Yeah, I
Do you
thought
have it
we'd.
handy, or do you want me to?
It's
do you have it
done.
handy,
No,
or-
I've done it. It's
Oh,
on now.
There we go. We've got it.
Oh,
on
my
now.
God, I'm looking at it now.
That really
That is
is
the
nightmare fuel, isn't it?
stuff of nightmares. That is.
It really is.
Oh dear. Yeah. Okay, Hamyam. That's you asked for
scary
that.
Teletubbies.
Well, Jonathan Tea Time says, right, that's cursed. And I think we have our picture
Yeah.
for.
Why would you make that?
Why wouldn't you make that?
Oh, terrifying! But I do see the resemblance.
Hey, John Stabler's here. Hi.
Hey.
Oh.
I assume that's the John Stabler.
Yeah, our
If it
chief
is,
of
what the hell are you
operations.
doing there, and why aren't you in here?
Yes, our chief of operations. What are you doing over there? Having enough time on DISO or something?
Sue, am I right about Teletubbies TNG?
I don't think it's been remade. I've been Googling and I can't find. I saw an article from 2015 saying it was being remade, but nothing about it being remade.
No, and there's a revival series, and there's Tiddlytubbies now.
Oh dear lord. Anyway,
Which
can we
would
move
please
on from
Ben
scary,
immensely.
disturbing things?
Oh,
Let's move on.
yeah. Let's just move on from this because basically it's. I'm sorry, Norman. You can definitely take that photograph down now. Please do. I'm not going to be able to sleep
I
well
still
tonight.
can't unsee it.
The trivia for you. Blue tack works really well as an eraser.
It does, yes.
White tack is better.
Is it? Interesting.
White tack has less oils, so it doesn't leave the little stain marks on the walls. You know, when you put a poster up and you take it off,
Yes.
the oils from the blue tack will seep into the wallpaper and leave marks.
Interesting.
So that's why you use white tack.
Right. Well, I am looking now at the latest newsletter, which was 303. So again, we are pulling ahead of the number of newsletters in number. In this, they cover, of course, the last Dev Diary 2. They cover the fact that on the 27th of October, everybody gets Horizons, whether you want it or not. They announced the winners of the 300 newsletter competition. Special congratulations go out to Colin, who received the Money Can't Buy Elite Dangerous deck. That's not me. I'll just point out. I wish it was, but that's not me. Of course, Super Cruise News 7, they went and showed everyone bounty hunting, and of course these wonderful Asp Explorer and T6 salvage paint job schemes. So yeah, there's the Fleet Admiral Vincent has been named as the Starship One Saboteur, and of course a lot of other stuff about the community goal, and even a mention to the Dark Wheel turning. Is in the newsletter. That's one thing we might be able to ask Kaizen about. I mean, how does he feel about turning up in the newsletter? Because we were discussing that, people who do put effort into creating these player-run goals suddenly appearing in the newsletter, that must give them a good feeling.
How do you feel about it, Kaizen? Hit us with your opinions. He's not saying anything.
He's not saying anything this time.
Strangely silent.
Yeah.
I'll impersonate him. I can't impersonate him.
No, you can't. You can't impersonate a Marine.
No, absolutely not. I will put words into his mouth, though. I think he was proud and thrilled.
Ooh.
Not thrilled and proud.
No, definitely not.
Do we have a chief of operations arriving?
Yeah, I don't make a big deal about it. Okay? I've just shown up this evening because I've been playing Elite. So
we need to pipe him in, Colin.
Need to pipe him in, yes.
There's no theme tune for me or anything. I hope not. Anyway,
I'm quite sure, John. We will be able to find one quite quickly.
Please no, because it'll be like the Benny Hill theme or something. So.
How you doing, John?
No, yeah, good, and it's amazing because I've been playing Elite with my brother the last few nights, trying to get back into it because we're both excited about Odyssey, I guess, and we just missed the game as it was anyway because it's always real life that drags me away from the game. So I'm just glad to be back. So I'm actually I just want to listen to you guys. So I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna mute myself. And if I've got anything interesting to say, which will be unlikely, I will say something. But
you're not saying anything interesting yet. Seriously?
Well, back in the old days of Lave Radio, we never had anything interesting to say, and it never stopped us. But
it's just the same now.
But these days, it's only interesting people on Lave Radio who've got something interesting to say. Or that's what I've heard anyway.
Okay. We'll let John then mute himself and hide in the background. Guys, I think we're on evaluation. The chief of he's there with a clipboard. We're being evaluated.
Right, well, I'm keeping Ben because he did a good joke earlier about being fat in lockdown. He managed to segue from an Elite joke to being fat in lockdown, so he's staying. The rest of you, I'm going to be marking.
Oh dear. Right, moving on then.
Colin's feeling under pressure now.
I am feeling under pressure now. Right, moving on. I think, actually, on that note, we'll take a bit of a break and we'll come back with our main discussion about the extra questions which were answered by Frontier earlier.
Eddie Lee Wise here. Our family-run business looks after all your sartorial needs. Whether you need something to turn your pink python purple, or you want to wrap your buns up in a nice tight flight suit, my husband Ken can sort you right out. He's an expert at inside leg, and my wife Barbs is a whiz with a sewing machine. Bespoke tarting for you and your ship. Visit Eddie and Sons, plus me daughters, at Lave Station. Right, sir. Cuff, please.
This is a public service announcement from the Fuel Rats. Please stop what you're doing and pay attention. If we can rescue you, We will, but you can help us help you by following these easy steps. 1. Fly 50 light seconds or so from the system's main star and drop out of Supercruise. 2. Note down the current system and the nearest stellar body. 3. If you're on emergency life support, log out immediately. 4. Go to fuelrats.org and click Get Help. 5. Stay calm, hold your breath, and let our seasoned professionals do what they do best. The Fuel Rats. We have fuel, you don't. Any questions?
Is your life like this? It could be like this.
Astrogator Tours. Put some excitement back in your life. Book an adventure in the Lave Business Director. Now.
And welcome back. Now, apparently, we did miss one small item of Frontier-related news. David Braben tweeted earlier today that he tweeted Elon Musk to. He said he'd love to talk to you about something. Please DM me if you have a chance. Now, everybody has been speculating that he's maybe going to ask whether or not he's actually close to inventing the hyperdrive, but I think most people realize it might be something to do with how close that Tesla Roadster is to Mars at the moment, or even if it's going to land on Mars.
I think I think he wants to know why Elon Musk named his daughter after one of Elite Dangerous's procedural planets.
Well, there are 400 billion of them out there, so one of them's bound to match.
So what did he?
So the Tesla Roadster is only getting to 0.05 of an AU distance, which is still pretty damn far away.
Or pretty close in a cosmic scale.
In a cosmic scale, but yeah, in a cosmic scale, the moon's just like missing the Earth as well. But, we're fairly safe, really.
I wonder if it is actually putting the remains of the Tesla. Maybe they'll just have like a floating spacesuit around, but it would be a suitable place to put something like that Tesla Roadster in and around Mars, because they couldn't put it on Mars because obviously Mars is permanent locked. You can't land on there, so you'd never see it. But having something within 0.05 AU of Mars for players to find is definitely doable.
Yeah, and you know what this lot are like. As soon as you hint that it's there, they will go looking.
Yeah, and it's still 7.5 million kilometers away from Mars.
So it has missed Mars. It's not going to hit Mars.
Yeah, and that was the closest point of closest approach, which was actually a week ago.
Oh, right. So it's now past Mars and keeping on going.
And it's now actually heading back towards Earth, I think.
Guys, I mean, is the elite community full of conspiracy theorists? Because I'm wondering if the most obvious reason that he would tweet him is that David Braben has bought a Tesla electric car and it's broken. And he just thinks it's quicker to get it fixed by going straight to the guy at the top.
I think it's pretty presumptuous if he is doing that way. There are quicker ways of getting support. Just use your mobile phone and book an engineer to come out.
I don't know. I don't own a Tesla, but if it's anything like some
does.
other car companies, it takes a long time. So just go straight to the CEO if you can.
The ironic factor is that Shan is probably the expert on this, so
I will defer to his expertise.
Oh dear. Well,
you could talk about a Polestar as well. He could have gone to Polestar, which again is an astronomical thing, and also an EV.
I wonder. I mean, what state's that car going to be in at the moment? I mean, it's been pummeled by radiation. It's been pummeled by obviously micro meteorites.
I don't know. Maybe it was ceramic coated.
At least there won't be any bird shit on it.
I bet your seagull still managed to find it.
Seagulls will find it. Yeah, dear.
Well, we know it's not going to have rusted, at least. But,
I'd imagine the paint will have all been blasted, or in parts the paint will have been blasted off, I'd imagine.
But I'm guessing solar radiation would ionize the metal. It'd be quite interesting to see.
Rubber's going to be pretty smoked up.
We did just to get raided, by the way.
We did?
Oh.
Well, welcome to all our raiders. Who raided us?
Help. I've lost it.
Commander Emulated Penguin has raided us with a party of 56. Thank you, Emulated Penguin. How do you emulate a penguin?
You could just use a Linux box.
No, what you could do is you just put Ben in a tux and a jacket.
Right, he's gone from Tellytubbies.
Dick Van Dyke wasn't it who did that?
No, I'm just thinking of Danny DeVito now.
No,
Yeah,
I think of
Ben
Burgess.
looks nothing like Danny DeVito.
I think of Burgess Meredith, the original Penguin.
Right, we will move on from penguins and Teslas, and someone else put a comment in here that what if David Braben would like to put a small Cobra Mark III replica in space? Send that up on Starship X.
Oh, I like that idea.
That'd be a good one. I mean, yeah. How about the model that the third scale model that was at the launch party? Put that out in space.
I'm just trying to remember. Someone told us how much per kilo it costs to put something in space. And it's some literally astronomical figure. So it would probably drain. Yeah, it would probably drain Frontier's cash reserves dry to put that.
Do you think that's what the cash reserves are for? They've got what, 40 million so far. They're saving up to send a Cobra into space.
Yeah, we were going to give you PvP, but that's cancelled now. To put something into space.
Yeah, I know what David wants to do. Actually, David wants to be the first person to write a video game about space whilst in space.
So they want to. Well, why don't they just send up copies of Elite Dangerous to the International Space Station?
Because he wouldn't be coding it up there. You know, he wants to do his development on the ISS.
Well, that really is remote working, isn't it?
You'll have to go on solo because the internet from the IIS down to the bottom wouldn't work, would it? It wouldn't be good.
Yeah,
enough.
but you could blame lag all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, maybe this is a secret announcement. If he's developing up there, he's developing offline mode. Too soon?
No.
Never too soon.
Oh dear.
Could also be
I think we just need to take a moment to pause and consider this episode now, I believe, holds the Lave Radio record for the most time it takes us to get to the main topic.
Possibly.
Yes.
I don't know. I might dispute that one because we used to take a long time to get to anything.
Okay, I mean, so back in the day, you lot used to start recording at sort of like 7 in the evening, and still not actually have reached the topic of conversation by 1 in the morning.
Yeah, but we used to edit it down.
Yeah,
edit out all the crap,
all the good bits,
all the good bits.
So today's show is going to be 3 minutes long.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now you see, John, we have baby son Colin to keep us all in check and stop us just rambling on about nonsense for too long.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think it was Ty and Kaizen have both observed I'm more like the what is it? The last minute substitute teacher that comes in and has no idea how to control the class. And it very much feels like it on this episode, that's for sure.
Oh, I think you guys are doing a great job. It's come on leaps and bounds. It's all on Twitch and it's on YouTube now. The only thing missing, and this is what surprised me, was if this was like a really hardcore like Twitch stream or YouTube stream, when the question of David Braben putting something into space came up, you should have said, "Okay, viewers, we're going to open a poll now. What ship do you think David Braben should put into space?" And then you'd have had a massive flame war in the comments saying it should be the Crate, no, the Cobra.
Cobra Mark IV.
I think you need to, John. I think you need to move with the times. The way to do this now is to write an open letter on Reddit and the forums.
I forgot about Reddit. Yeah, and then everyone has to boycott Frontier after for some reason that I can't think of.
Well, it's about the same, really, isn't it? Right. Well, as part of our main topic, Stephen Benedetti put up a additional reply to the Dev Diary 2, which is Forging Your Path recap. So basically, these were some extra questions that people asked, and they've gone into a little bit more detail about each of these. So I'm going to start off with obviously the first one, which is, will commanders be able to get out and explore smaller stations or just spaceports? Now, I thought this one had already been answered, but he's gone into some specific detail. So planet sports, spaceports and outposts.
Have we lost the Colin?
I think we've lost the Colin.
Oh, Shan, do you want to take over then?
Yeah, let's just pick up where we were from the show notes. So, in terms of where they were saying we would actually be able to walk around with the outposts and that, do we think the interiors are going to substantially change if it's an outpost? Because station interiors we know change depending on what the economy is and what the affiliation of the station is. But do you think they'll have different interiors for outposts? I mean, for example, will a pirate outpost have a different look than a scientific outpost? Do we think they'll go that far?
Well, I'm hoping they will, because you do come across pirate outposts with the little skull and crossbones going around with a red neon sign at the top. But they seem to be they don't seem to have any effect on the gameplay, so if you dock at one of those, they're happy to have you, even though you're not a pirate. I would have thought that you could only dock with those if you are basically got a bounty against you or notoriety or something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether they've actually done those assets, depending on the type of station. Or even, will they change to the type of system? So will a system that's in Anarchy, will the outpost interior look like one of the raider ships, for example? And all very spiky and rusty. So it would be interesting to see how they do it. I really hope they do make the effort to do the different assets, because it would somehow break, I think, I hate to use the word immersion, but it just wouldn't seem right to have a nice shiny interior of a station when the outside was all piratey and whatever.
Yeah. What does anybody else think about that?
I think outposts are the interesting one, because they're the ones that don't have an interior that we can get a close look at yet. The only outpost interior that we can see is the glass roof of the commercial one, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that shows a few ships in what looks like a showroom, and there's an Anaconda and a Cobra and I think an Eagle. And they are. I've got really, really close to them in VR in the vanity camera, and they're very low poly models. And I don't think they're in scale. The Anaconda's too small, for example, I think. So for the Orbises and the Ocelluses and stuff like that, we already fly through those spaces. So presumably one of those buildings will be changed to a social space. But the outposts are the interesting ones because that is a completely blank slate. We've got no idea what the interior of those looks like except that one thing that I just mentioned.
But that would be really cool, wouldn't it? If you like docked at the space showroom and you could walk around the ships, and then some sales robot comes out that you have to haggle with, and then goes away, and he says, "Excuse me, Shan, I need to go and talk to the manager." Then he comes back a bit and whatever.
I think the commercial one that you can see the interior of it, I'm pretty sure that's placeholder because it looks so. I can't imagine we'll be able to walk around that because it wouldn't hold up to those scales. So I am really interested to see what they do with Outposts. The other thing is that actually this is going to be the thing that interests me the most probably. Orbises and Ocelluses have and Coriolises have not artificial gravity. Sorry, they have sort of the equivalent of gravity.
Rotational gravity.
Yeah, because they spin. Outposts do not. So we've seen the last couple of years, Frontier have dropped a couple of updates in when apparently the world building team or whoever's in charge of the kind of the Bible for the universe of Elite has not been talking to the art team, and we've seen assets dropped in that don't make a lot of sense within the game's rules. Like, for example, boxes piled neatly up in fleet carriers which don't spin or have artificial gravity. It's going to really interest me whether the outposts social spaces have gravity or not. Whether you're going to see bars with bottles standing neatly on shelves and that kind of thing. You kind of get away with it with players by just waving your hands and saying they're all wearing mag boots. But in terms of the environment design, you've either got gravity in it or its equivalent, or you haven't. It will be fascinating for me to see how they handle those outpost interior spaces.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually been a big issue on the forums at the moment. There's a big thread there saying, please don't do a Star Wars and have artificial gravity. How are you going to actually handle gravity on the outposts? To which everybody has replied, sort of mag boots, because that's what the lore is supposed to be.
It is, but I haven't seen evidence in the last few updates that anybody in Frontier's art team thinks about this stuff. The Crate Mark II has an espresso has a clearly what is clearly a gravity fed espresso machine with a cup hanging off it. Like, you do need somebody in the production pipeline who's further downstream than art or upstream from art to say, hold on, you can't have that. You're in space. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's been absent. So I'm really hopeful that we see that kind of attention to detail come back into the game, because arguably it's one of the things that I like most about it.
I find it hard to believe that somebody can create a ship's model with an espresso machine and somebody other than the art department hasn't seen it.
Yeah, you'd think, wouldn't you?
Now I'm actually going to go. I know there's a lot of hard sci-fi people in the Elite community, but David Braben talked about the only lie or the only contrivance being the hyperdrive.
Mm-hmm.
That might have to change.
Yeah,
they may just have to retcon in that suddenly they have discovered artificial gravity.
Maybe it'll be more than that. It'll fly in the face of everything they said in the dev diaries. They could do, but they've ripped up the rulebook before. It would be a big departure, though.
I've seen these stations with people in, and people are walking around having a great time, and it's something that I've always looked forward to since the Kickstarter. But you can't have a bar with mag boots because you got to have something to keep your whiskey in your shot glass as well. So
no, there is a good point. I mean, I must admit, in my fiction, that I've always had it so that you don't have glasses. You've got these kind of containers that
Tommy sippy cups.
Yeah,
sippy cups or straws,
sippy cups.
Yeah.
Basically, these kind of clear sippy cup things that you can brew your coffee in and have it that way, which is pretty similar to the sort of astronaut food that you have at the moment. So
I was just thinking of, sorry, Colin, I was just thinking of other conceits. The bag of holding you have in your suit, in your ship,
uh-huh.
when you how it mysteriously can hold thousands and thousands of materials
Oh, right, yes.
and not take up any weight, and how it mysteriously survives ship destruction even when your astronomical data doesn't. So there's things like that.
Yeah, your
Yeah, but
pocket universe seems to survive.
That's not internal consistency. That's just the sacrifices we make to make a video game.
Mhm.
You know, things like, oh, I got killed and yet I'm still alive. You know, yeah, okay, it's a video game. Like, you can't. I think they're separate issues. Like, one is the nods to gamification that we make because, hey ho, we've made a game. Like the fact that, you know, you can't die permanently and you don't
multi-crew and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and the other one is the sort of the fundamental kind of lore parameters that the fictional universe relies upon, and they were very, very clear. They were very emphatic that they would be as hard sci-fi as they could in the early days, and that supercruise and hyperspace were going to be the only hand wavium, really. You know, and they've got lore, or at least they had lore explanations for everything else that was, you know, all the other bits of future tech. So I don't think it's I don't think you can compare it to something like, oh, I've still got all my materials despite my ship being blown up, because that's just game stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes into handling gravity properly in this game, yeah, we know that the ships handle as they're supposed to in high G worlds, as many a splatted cow will testify. But of course, walking around on a 7G planet, which I think we've discussed on several occasions, you're going to have one of these really expensive spacesuits that can actually stop you from just being reduced to a puddle of goo. And I don't think anybody's
that's interesting. That is a really interesting point. I don't think Frontier have clarified that, have they?
No, you see, that's the thing. They haven't clarified anything about how your commander is going to be able to walk around on anything more than a 2 or 3G planet. A lot of the sci-fi authors have come up with, you know, explanations, which, you know, if you like, the books are considered, I don't know, not genuine canon, because I think there's been a couple of things that have been let through, but you know, because there is a difference to the way things are in the game, but yeah, they haven't actually turned around and said, no, for this world you will need to buy this spacesuit that will stop you from basically crumpling into a puddle of goo.
Yeah, it's quite interesting the way that Frontier deal with hard sci-fi. You know, they admitted straight out that, you know, Supercruise and the hard drive, the hyperdrive were, you know, the one thing they're going to let through. But they're always on a knife edge, because how do we know in a month's time that someone doesn't actually discover artificial gravity for real? Like,
True.
You know, and so what would they do then? Because like a massive chunk of their hard sci-fi, you know, all these spinning stations would become junk overnight. So I'm not actually completely against them taking some liberties. And so, for instance, we were talking about the small space stations, which don't rotate.
Yep.
And now we're going to be able to hopefully walk around them soon. You know, I wouldn't blame them if they did, on the launch that feature, add in the artificial gravity hand wavium, because it makes for a better game, a more consistent game. I know there's some people that wouldn't like it because it's no longer that old hard sci-fi, but maybe it just needs to be done.
Ben.
Yeah, interesting point.
Yeah, just quickly, Ben had something to say there.
So one thing that I would love is to deal with gravity in outposts by not dealing with it. Let us float around the damn place. Let us, you know, sure, maybe we can have mag boots, but I want to float around as well. I'd love zero-G combat. And we're going to need some kind of zero-G body manipulation if we ever want to have a dream of doing EVAs. So they're going to have to get that mechanic into the game.
So basically, for this particular bit, personal jetpacks.
Personal jetpacks would work. Handholds at the station so you can pull yourself along. Anchor yourself at the bar. Drink from a sippy cup, and drink. Instead of pouring your bottle of whiskey, it's a pressure container, and you basically inject your whiskey into someone else's personal sippy cup.
Yeah, I mean
and
they haven't shown any concept art like that at all, which is
they haven't.
The one thing that does make me not doubt what you're saying, Ben, but I don't think they're.
I don't think they've thought about it, but I'd like it. Yeah, I mean, one thing I was hoping, when they first mentioned outposts, I was hoping that they were meaning like small outposts on planets, like we're seeing these settlements. But one of the things I'd say they've clarified in this post is they're saying outpost social hubs will be located in small orbital stations like mining outposts and trade depots. And that's Hutton.
Mm-hmm.
They are talking about what we think of as outposts, as the small little places like Hutton Orbital, where you've only got a small and a medium landing pad and there's no gravity. And so I was hoping I really was hoping that it was going to be. It was clumsy typing, but I don't think it is.
Well, also, there's no atmosphere in Outposts, is there? Or certainly
there's no atmosphere in
Outpost.
Hutton Orbital Bar either. But that's for other reasons. Mostly because Commander Psychocat is trying to sing there.
That's fighting talk.
Okay, hang on. We're going to move on from this now because
I thought that was a fat joke, not a singing joke.
That's Cubicle 3.
Cubicle 3 at Hutton Orbital is, I think it's evolving. It's evolving its own protocol molecule, which is quite scary. Shan, we'd like to move on just a bit. They have confirmed that everything that's going to be happening is in first person. So there's going to be no third person MMO type view of your commander as they walk around the stations. Shan, what do you want to comment on that?
Yes, I mean, I'm quite disappointed, really. There's a number of other titles I've been looking forward to in the year that have abandoned third person. And what I like from the third person point of view is, in my mind, what's the point of buying DLC to make my suit look all flashy and fashionable or whatever you want? What's the point in that if I'm not actually going to see it or that? And even I can understand from a gameplay perspective, you want everyone locked to the same field of view for combat, and there's none of this zipping around. I'm just wondering how that's going to happen. Or are we going to have these little camera drones fly around us like wasps that will enable us to do that? I don't know. I like to be able to switch this to a third person view, just to get screenshots and things.
Well, I mean, I've got no problem with people using the camera in third person view, but even though there is something about.
Colin's gone. I think
one thing about the camera, though, at least when we're flying a ship, is you can lock off the camera's position relative to where you are, and you can still fly your ship.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have your HUD and everything like that, and...
Yeah, for me, that's third person. They said it's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just...
I mean, no third person camera is not... No third person camera is not the same as no camera suite.
Well, in game, though, isn't the camera suite supposed to be these little drones that you fly around?
I don't think there's. I'm not sure it's been lawed. I'm not sure it's been explained.
I don't think it's been fully. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like in our own personal narrative, it's little drones, but
so
in reality, Frontier don't care.
The way Star Citizen handle this is that you only get your HUD in first person. You can flip to third person whenever you like, but it's basically vanity camera, which is perfect because third person does give an advantage in competitive stuff. So removing the HUD means that its utility is mainly for admiring your avatar, or for content creation, or catching screenshots of video or whatever. I don't think there's any reason for Frontier to deny you the vanity camera in first person. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if vanity camera was included with first person by default because of the way the game works. But I suspect when they say there will be no third person camera, what they mean is you will not be able to play the game with full functionality because you won't have a HUD, and maybe not like full controls or something like that. Ben.
I completely agree with you there. I think the vanity camera will remain exactly the same as it is. Just you can maybe sort of WSAD and go upstairs and things like that. But good luck ever trying to aim at somebody or probably even hold a conversation with them.
Yeah, precisely that. Absolutely that. I've seen Colin coming and going. Is currently gone?
I think he's gone again. Right, should we leave third person?
Yeah,
That's what's actually in these notes. So the next thing on the Q&A, well, more Q than A than I think, but anyway. Can you share more information about settlements? Are they controlled by factions? Settlements are much larger than social hubs. They'll be they will be comprised of multiple buildings which will match the nature of the settlement. There will be different types, such as extraction, agricultural, or industrial, including buildings such as power reactors, habitats where workers will be able to stay. Not all settlements will have the same buildings. Settlements are owned by factions and are connected to the BGS when the BGS is working. The NPCs in the social hubs will differ depending on which faction is in control of that system, with visual elements inside of the social hub reflecting the current BGS. Players themselves won't be able to own settlements, but they will be able to support a faction in a faction contesting territory. More on this information later. So
this interests me because
there.
Yeah, I agree. It's not that surprising, but it is interesting that they're putting so much into. A lot of functionality is being put into settlements. It's very much you'll be able to explore stations, you'll be able to explore outposts, but settlements, these are where you're going to be able to do this. These are where you're going to be able to do that. That interests me because it sort of indicates that they looked at putting full functionality into the assets already in the game, but decided they needed a new one to do what they wanted to do properly. I mean, you guys ought to jump in if you disagree, but I kind of feel like the way they're talking about settlements is very much that these are going to be where you're going to get your mission givers. These are going to be where you're going to buy your new suits and things. And we put them in because actually when we started designing Odyssey, we realized that we would need an entirely new location to do it justice. Is that how it strikes you guys, or is that just me?
No, that's exactly how it strikes me. And it corresponds with what I was saying earlier, actually, about ships and why we're not getting them in the first edition. Same reason, I think, as why we're not getting... That's why existing structures and existing bases, planetary ports, don't have all the features you might imagine out of them. And even though they're large, they just aren't large enough. Same as our ships, I think we're going to have to picture our ships from the inside out. And that might mean an embiggening of all things. I don't know.
Interesting.
And I think the settlements have been embiggened already. Whereas, obviously, maybe outposts, you can only do it to a certain degree, and possibly a certain amount of hand wavings having to go on to make them work right.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, the next question after that was they asked how seamless is the transition into buildings in Odyssey, and they've said that they have created a seamless...
And he's gone. They have created a seamless experience.
I was wondering about this when I read it too, because that I'm not sure if you remember, ages and ages ago, we talked about how Odyssey, as it's now called, would actually work. Would it be a separate executable, or how would that happen? Because we were talking about the limitations on a console and minimum spec PCs. Because it seems to me as that adding almost a completely different game onto Elite. So I'm just wondering, when this that seamless transition, how's that going to work on a console when you have to load all this alternate content into memory when it doesn't even, it's not being written for the next gen consoles. So when it says it's seamless, I'm just wondering how that's going to work from a coding and game perspective of actually getting all that information into memory when you've still got the original game
You might
playing.
just stream it in. Why would it be different information when we've already got? You've got the exterior map that you've already loaded in. You walk through the door, and then, in that couple of seconds it takes is probably all it takes to, you go in through the airlock, open, close, door loaded, jobs are good in.
Because you have to then load in all the other routines and mechanics to do
They'll be
being
loaded
on
in
foot.
already. That's what happens when game starts.
And that's my point. Surely,
it's not 2x's. It's all there.
What's
it's
that?
not
What
separate
effect?
things.
I was just thinking about the amount of capacity of a console to store and use all this stuff, just in case.
I think, if I can just jump in here, I seem to remember the whole idea of Elite being the genesis of the Cobra game engine. And as far as I'm aware of, any latency I've ever encountered in game has always been related to matchmaking. When entering into effectively an instance around a space station or a point of interest. And I think the streaming of game assets in the game is very good. It's kind of on par with GTA, from what I've seen. So it wouldn't surprise me that when you exit frame shift by a station, the game knows that you're going to be docking at that station, and so it can already start streaming some of the internal assets. So,
maybe, but effectively we do already have loading screens, don't we? But they're disguised as jumps and docking animations and SRV animations.
Yeah, correct.
And I think it'll be exactly the same as this. So, you'll get out of your ship, and you standing out of your ship will be the loading screen for loading in the assets for that local area.
See, for me, though, that's not seamless, though, is it? It's just a well-described loading screen.
Well, if it's very well described, if it's very well disguised, it is seamless, or as good as seamless. I totally agree with what John said. I think Elite handles it very, very well, and I think that the elevators that they talk about in the Q&A that's a disguised loading screen, isn't it? You get an elevator, the doors will shut, nothing will be on the screen for a sec, and while it loads in the social hub assets. I just want to quickly mention something that Kaizen said in chat. He has corrected me. He says that regarding settlements, you can buy all your shit from the stations and old places. The difference is that settlements are groups of buildings with cover and shit spread over a first-person shooter battle map. All the stations have the shops and shit, but they will be one glorified building like a mall and not built for FPS combat. So basically what I just said about stations isn't quite correct. Settlements are different, but they are different in that they're laid out more like they're laid out more with first-person shooter gameplay in mind, whereas stations that Ocelises and Orbuses and things will be very much more convenience places where you get your stuff done.
Yeah, it'll be like, we go essentially into the airport hangar, and they'll be like hanging out at Heathrow Airport, I think.
Yep.
Where, you've got your bar, you can go and get a drink, and then, well, maybe not Heathrow Airport, but I don't know, maybe JFK Airport, something like that. You can get out into the terminal and then buy a gun.
Yeah, precisely. Just as it is going to Magaluf in
real
this country.
life.
Absolutely, yeah. Peter, what Wotherspoon says, and with regard to the disguised loading screens, he would put gliding onto a planet into that bracket as well, which is absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean, we can all see the loading screens. None of us are stupid enough to not realize, hey, while we jump out, that couple of seconds while it's going ka-dunk, 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 it's when this game's loading. And we see exactly the same thing, obviously, when you're trying to leave the station and go into Super Cruise, especially if there's 50 bazillion fleet carriers in the area. You go and spend 10 minutes getting in.
Yeah, exactly.
We know it's a loading screen. They just hide it. And I think for 90% of the time, when you're doing like a normal jump or a normal exit and entry to Super Cruise, it's disguised enough. It's just when the when the glitch happens and it takes 10 years that you think, what the hell's going off here?
Yeah, that's quite annoying. I only find those problems with multiplayer. I never get those glitches when I'm playing alone. It's only in Wings that I get those.
Yeah, and I mean, this is why everyone's begging for Frontier to work on the network code. Which is sadly one of these cases, isn't it? Anyway, that'll make us all depressed, won't it? How does mission availability vary throughout the game? The missions available from contacts boards. Actually, just looking at this, we've got a whole load more. Do we want to cover this, or should we move on? Do we want to cover all of this?
Quarter past 10. Let's leave some for next week.
Or should we leave some of it for next week so we've got some more content for next week?
Yeah.
So we got up to seamless transitions. So that's seamless. Right. Moving off the main discussion. And we did that. So Speedball. So Speedball 4 New Grounds. I believe we have a video for that, Norman. And while Norman thinks about that. Oh, no, here we go.
One year in the making. No expenses spared. The fastest race in history is back. It is time to drop again. Going hypersonic. Downright reckless. Rebuys not included. Speedball 4 New Grounds, November 3306. Fly fast. And don't forget to miss the ground.
And I'll just hang in the background.
Okay. Are we back, Norman? Yes, we're back. So, what a lovely what a lovely cutter was in that. And we did survive that. Well, I survived that without dying, just. Although we had a couple of people basically ram into the cutter as they were trying to fly past it, and they didn't survive very well. I think I got to about 20% hull or something like that. But if you have never done speedballing, it is a hell of a lot of fun. You go very, very fast. You go very, very close to the ground. And you do your best not to die. Just as a subtle hint, don't do it in a cutter. Do it in a hauler or a crate or some kind of ship which you can very, very easily rebuy. You don't want one of the big ones for it. It's bad. But if you've never tried speed bowling, obviously supported by Alec Turner and the Buckyball Racing Club, obviously, it is a lot of fun. So you really want to do that. So moving on from that, Colin has released Top Shift 124 Power Play expansion blocking. That came out 2 days ago and is on YouTube for anyone who wants to go and watch it. I have to admit, Colin, I'm really sorry I haven't watched it yet because I only found out about it today. In fact, I only found out about it about 30 seconds ago when I was reading these. Next thing is kind of related to the main discussion, actually, was a video from Down to Earth Astronomy where he's discussing cargo storage in Odyssey. And once again, Kaizen, take another bloody drink. I swear he sometimes just says things just to get his name mentioned in all the places. But anyway, I was talking about cargo storage in Odyssey, and he shares very, very similar views with Down to Earth Astronomy. And the basic version of the idea of everybody having cargo storage in Odyssey is that, let's say you go and get a Type 9 and you fill it up with 500 tons of bio-waste. You park it at Lave Station, you jump in your Apex taxi, you fly to you take your Apex taxi off to, say, off to Diso, and you jump in another ship you have there. All of a sudden, you're in a ship with 0 tons of bio-waste, and you've got a ship with 500 tons of bio-waste sitting in Lave. QED, cargo storage, basically.
That's interesting, because that was always something that traditionally Frontier shied away from.
Yep. But we have cargo storage now with fleet carriers. So this is obviously cargo storage for all, potentially.
Yeah, I feel like I feel pretty sure that cargo storage is we've already got it with fleet carriers. Something else that Frontier said that they'd never do was commerce between players directly, but fleet carriers mean that you can now do that. So I think that cargo storage is another sacred cow that will be slaughtered with Odyssey. I think that the easiest thing is just to let players store cargo simply. It would be consistent with the way they've implemented fleet carriers.
It would, yes, and I guess the reason why they always were resistant to cargo storage was because it would wreck the economy. And, well, we sort of know what the economy is at the moment, so I guess it's kind of like it doesn't matter anymore.
And, I mean, whilst I don't actually have any objections to cargo storage, I do feel that this theory has some unproven assumptions. That, what happens just now when you get out of your Type 9 with 500 tons full of bio waste and get into a Sidewinder? Anyone?
You're told that you can't.
It compresses.
Yeah, so, I mean, as Suv said, you get told you can't, and you get told, hey, you need to sell 497 tons of bio-waste before you can even think about getting into this. Now, this is just as unproven, but I don't see why Frontier couldn't go off and make it so that when you get into a taxi, they say, hey, Suv, you know that 500 tons of bio-waste that's sitting in your cargo hold, buddy? Well, before we let you bugger off, I want you to do something about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Now, you take your... We don't know the answer to this one way or the other. I like the idea of storage. I personally, though, would prefer essentially everybody to get a static fleet carrier on a station. Essentially, feature-wise, it would be a static fleet carrier. But the actual art assets would basically be you have a bedroom and a terminal where you can buy and sell shit.
So would you charge people rent for it?
Only if they're sort of bed and boarding.
Well, presumably, if one of the benefits of fleet carriers is you can store cargo and whatnot, then obviously there's the upkeep fee for that. But if you could bypass that by storing it on a station without paying anything, does that not mean it reduces some of the usefulness of a fleet carrier?
Potentially. And I mean, it just sounds like a hack around for a system they already have in place. And I think a much more elegant solution for everyone to get cargo storage would be, congratulations, Shan, you've now got a room at Lave. And that room comes with 500 tons of storage plus. And we've already got outfitting storage and ship storage. We've already got our pockets of infinite holding.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly what it'll be.
So, you get 500 tons of storage in the outpost of your choice or something like that, or the station of your choice. And this is, all of this is obviously speculation. It's a good video. Kai and Down to Earth make very good points. What were you saying?
That codifies the idea of having a home port, doesn't it? Which would be interesting.
A home port would be a lovely thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
I don't understand why you can't just have storage like you do for modules and ships, in that you leave stuff at a station, and if you want to take it somewhere that's not in your ship, you got to pay for it to be transferred for you.
I mean, yeah, that would be logical. Sorry, Ben.
I'm very worried. I've just received 10 photographs from Beetle Jude, who has, and I was worried about what they are because they're all come out all stretched, but apparently they are emotes for Twitch. So thank you very much for that, Jude. And I'll see you about that later, and not worry about it just now. Thank you very much.
So do we have to get people to like and subscribe to our Twitch channel then to get unleash the emotes on people?
Yes, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe to YouTube and Twitch.
And Instagram and all these places and things. And yes, love us, please.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I take it that you've covered Top Shift 124.
Oh, can you tell us about it, Colin? Because I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, Top Shift 124 is probably one of the funnest bits in Power Play I've had. It's where I go officially pirating and killing people, and I'm allowed to.
I thought you were a nice guy.
But they're not on my power, you see. And it doesn't matter if they're an NPC or if they're a human player. As far as I'm concerned, in Power Play, you should know what you've signed up for.
So, Colin, are you like an erstwhile football hooligan?
No.
Spotting a member of, I don't know, Everton when you're a Liverpool supporter, and running across the road and arranging them to get beaten up in a warehouse.
Definitely. I suppose in Elite Dangerous terms, that's true. Because that's what Power Play is supposed to be. It is supposed to be, player versus player combat. It's supposed to be that area of the game where it's supposed to happen. And although in the video I didn't actually attack any players, I have done in the past. And yeah, you do get called a griefer, even though, that's what the game's supposed to be about. And you do get people complaining that that's what all open should be, but I think
PvP in Power Play is what it's for.
Exactly. And I do feel that if you are in open in Power Play and you're not and you're in a hostile system, well, I'm sorry, I'm just as big a target to you as you are to me.
Yeah, precisely.
So, but yes, but it is fun because basically I can be a privateer because you've I don't against other ships, other powers, and combat with the full on skull and crossbones for me. Thank you very much. Right. Moving on from there, have anybody got any other quick business they'd like to quickly touch on before we do the shout-outs?
Not from me.
No.
Yeah, just to say quickly, Ben, I am available for alibis if you need one.
And just how much do you charge for the alibis?
At market rate.
Interstellar factor rates.
My bounty plus 20% then.
Yeah. On the any other business side, for those of you who've been following Star Wars Squadrons, last Friday they issued a patch which fixed a lot of the issues with the controllers. So that means my X-52 now works properly, full on with with Star Wars Squadrons, and I must admit, when I was in the VR with the X-52 all working, my 7-year-old self was crying a lot because this is what he'd been waiting for since X-Wing first came out on the PC all those years ago. And I must admit, it was quite emotional, actually, coming out of that after all that. I guess I'm the only one that's had that experience.
Star Wars died for me in the last set of movies. So.
But this isn't in the last set of movies, Shan. That's the important point. If you want the old school Star Wars feel, I think they've managed to capture that. What do you think, Ben? Do you think they've managed to capture that?
I think they deliberately aimed at that. So much of it is pointing at the old school, like X-Wing and TIE Fighter games. And you've got your obligatory do a trench run kind of thing. You've got your obligatory escape from a burning, exploding base that's going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, hunting down. They deliberately go off and put you in original TIE Fighters in the very first Imperial mission. They deliberately, let's play it old school, guys.
Yeah.
We're in traditional Empire, Return of the Jedi era X-Wings rather than the is it the T65s and then it's the T95s or something. Whatever the model numbers are, the ones in the third trilogy have like 2 half engines rather than on each wing, rather than sort of 2 proper engines.
We know that basically it's
yeah.
Just after it's a couple of years after Return of the Jedi. So basically, all the old kit is still working.
Apart from B-Wings. We're missing B-Wings.
Don't TIE Fighters in the game have shields on the one?
Nope. No, they don't have shields. And they handle the lack of shields very nicely.
Yeah.
Although I really appreciate how they deal with that.
I must admit, though, I'm no good in a TIE Fighter. I'm rubbish in a TIE Fighter. Put me in an X-Wing, it's another matter. I've played quite a few matches now. In an X-Wing, I've got a kill ratio of 3-1. So, but in a TIE Fighter, I'm something like, I don't know, the other way around. I think it's 2-3. So basically, I get 2 kills for every 3 deaths in a TIE Fighter. So I'm definitely a Republic pilot.
I've been playing more on the Empire side, but I've also been playing more bomber or support role. And I have to admit, I really enjoy playing support. I'm surprised how much I've enjoyed playing support.
Oh, but in other words, you're the coward that hides at the back. The healer.
No, I'm usually I don't know how, I always seem to be because basically I'm charging out following the tie advanced and ready to basically give that first tie advanced a heal. So I'm like second out the gate basically, and usually I'm also throwing down like turrets and mines and things like that, so that I'm up in front, so that when my team turns back, the dirty rebels go off and fly into my mines.
Yeah. Well, we're still definitely going to have a Lave Radio Star Wars Squadron night. So we'll be sending out details of that at some point in the future. So, right. I think it's time for shout-outs. So, first of all, we'll say hello to our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. It broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at tv.forthemug.com, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander who likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/EliteDangerousCQC. Also, following this, I do believe we have a fantastic Galnet news digest provided by Commander Wotherspoon.
We do.
We do. Excellent. So it just leaves me to say thanks to all those who have chipped in on the Twitch chat and all other streams that we've been talking about. And that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, or tweet us at Lave Radio. You can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. And we have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come out to chat, and you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Now, do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m. and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thanks to Ben. Thanks to John for dropping by. Thanks to Shan. Thanks to Souverine. And a special thanks, of course, goes to Commander Ventura for being our tech specialist today. But until next time, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word. Space can be done. I'm going to see the galaxy.
Damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
According to scientists, Uranus is full of methane gas.
I think you're right, though, Colin.
What have you done with Shan, and when can we have him back?
Galnet News Digest, 13th of October, 3306. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news roundup, demolition ethics questioned. Hudson's best buddy. The origin of apex travel. Empire denies drunken pilots. Demolition ethics questioned. Following the revelation that engineer Liz Ryder's Demolition Unlimited sold specially engineered weapons to terrorists, the legitimacy of an outfit that is allied to anarchist movement the Eurabia Blue Mafia, that sells modified missiles that are specifically designed to cause thrusters to be less effective and to make frameshift drives malfunction to prevent traders and weaker combatants from withdrawing, and that makes little attempt to prevent sales to known terrorists, has been called into question. Ryder has completed work for galactic governments in the past, including research into anti-Thargoid weapons on behalf of Aegis. But essentially, Ryder designs bombs that fit on the top of rockets of various sizes and capabilities, and while it's true that it is not bombs that kill people, it is people that kill people. Having large numbers of Ryder-supplied bombs sloshing around the supply chain certainly makes the people killing a lot less arduous for the modern terrorist. They have said that they no longer want to detain her, but perhaps the Empire was right to hunt Ryder, the loose missile, down. Hudson's best buddy. With the news that Admiral Vincent has been arrested, charged with treason and mass murder for arranging the destruction of Starship One, it's perhaps worth looking back briefly at the history of Admiral Vincent. It was Vincent who carpet-bombed the Onion Head fields of Kappa Pharnacis in 3300 and 3301 without consulting then-President Jasmina Halsey, damaging her political credibility. In a carefully worded statement at the time, Halsey clarified that Vincent had acted without consulting her, and that he was acting within his rights not to consult her. It was abundantly clear that Halsey detested Vincent and that Vincent had little regard for his president. It was also abundantly clear that Vincent remained a close friend of Shadow President Hudson. Vincent's aides travelled with the Shadow President, providing assistance and credibility to the opposition politician, and then, conveniently, allegedly following an intervention by Admiral Vincent, the presidential flight was lost. President Halsey was believed dead, and Hudson was given an easy path to take over the top job in the Federation. If Admiral Vincent attempted to murder President Halsey, it can only have been to benefit Shadow President Hudson. Now, the big question is, did Hudson know about the plot? If he did, his future as president must surely be placed in doubt. The origin of apex travel. Apex Travel, the interplanetary and interstellar travel agency, was founded on the 12th of October 2020, when British entrepreneur David Braben communicated with South African visionary and fruitcake Elon Musk using Twitter, an early predecessor of the short blogging service Galtweet. Braben's tweet, preserved in the Federal Library of Congress in Olympus Village on Mars, says simply, "Hi, I'd love to talk to you about something." What Braben was talking about was renting passage for commanders on Musk's interplanetary rockets, the predecessors of spaceships. Conditions were cramped and the journey was often one-way and/or fatal, but it formed the first little step towards the service we will be reintroduced to at the beginning of 3307. Empire denies drunken pilots. Leaders of Imperial forces working to subdue the Marlinist movement in Akwada have strenuously denied that leftover brandy from the lying-in state of Prince Harold Rizal is impacting the fighting effectiveness of its pilots. Millions of cases of the rare brandy were delivered to Baal for onward transmission to capital. It's rumoured that Prince Harold's body was pickled in brandy before it was laid to rest in the Hall of Martyrs. It's what he would have wanted, apparently. What happened to the millions of tons left over, though? Rumour has it that every pilot in the Imperial Navy was given a ration of 20 tons of the stuff on the understanding that they'd have a small tot every evening with their cocoa and would make it last a good long while. Reports from Aquada that the fleet's flagship, the Glorious Destiny, has sustained damage from repeatedly being rammed by incapacitated Imperial pilots have been dismissed as vile propaganda on behalf of the evil democratic forces of Marlinism. Forces for stability and order in the Empire are firmly in control in Aquada, and the evil Democrats of the Duduseclis Empire League can expect very little mercy following their insolence in opposing the forces of justice. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to. And the BGS is not broken anymore.
Hi, Commander Kumar the Far here, and you're listening to Lave Radio. Up next is a track that I wrote based on a true story. It's called Pirates Took My Spaceship. Now, if you want to listen to more stuff that I've written, you can find that at soundcloud.com/KUMARTHEFFAR-1. Oh crap, the back!
you get all sorts here. Smells like it too. Mirth, horrible stains, marigolds.
There you go.
Donkey Dick.
It says here, next.
My dear man, Cox.
Like an obese child.
No.
Teabag.
It's the 34th century.
Fix that.
Patient.
Nada.
Sounds majestic, because it is, Michelle.
This is Beyond Dockers.
Beyond Dockers, a mockumentary podcast available at bs-dockers.com. Also on iTunes.
Lave Radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
The Red Planet taxi service have recently moved into the luxury liner market, and their flagship, Big Red Taxi, has been plying the space lanes in Wolf 25 for some weeks now. We join Trace and Chantal in the food prep area on board.
Alright, Shants, I'll do business class and you do luxury this time, alright, babe? Tea, coffee, coffee, tea, tea, coffee, coffee, tea, tea, coffee. Tea, madam? Gently, madam, enjoy your tea, madam. Tea, coffee, coffee, tea.
Oh, could I have an orange juice, please?
Tea, coffee, coffee, tea.
Oh, yes, but I'd like an orange juice if I could, please.
Tea, coffee, coffee, tea.
Oh, okay. Tea then, please.
Tea, sir? Certainly, sir. Enjoy your tea, sir. Tea, coffee, coffee, tea, 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 tea.
Oh, you get all sorts here. Smells like it too. Mirth, horrible stains, marigolds.
There you go.
Donkey Dick.
It says here, next.
My dear man, Cox.
Like an obese child.
No.
Teabag.
It's the 34th century.
Fix that.
Patient.
Nada.
Sounds majestic, because it is, Michelle.
This is Beyond Dockers.
Beyond Dockers, a mockumentary podcast available at bs-dockers.com. Also on iTunes.
Night, guys.